Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, my beautiful girlies. It's Grace, and let's hop right in to this makeup get ready with me. So, happy May 4th, you guys. Happy May, happy May, happy May. Oh my goodness, we are into the 5th month of this year. How are we already into the 5th month of this year already? Like, what? I just cannot believe it. I am super duper excited for the summer. I'm super duper excited for spring transitioning, for us to be in spring and for us to soon to be transitioning into the summer. And I am just so happy that it is May, and yeah, just happy May. I don't know, I just really love spring, and I just love the leaves being grown back out on the trees, just seeing a lot of greenery. It's just so amazing. All right, so for today's topic of discussion, if I were a queen, what would my throne look like? So I think that this topic of discussion is very interesting, since, I think the common person doesn't really think about this question a lot unless they're like watching, maybe shows like Game of Thrones or shows that have like, kings and queens and stuff from like the medieval times. I don't know. I was just trying to get some ideas and this question popped up and I was like, I don't know. I've never really thought about this question, that deeply, in my personal opinion, but I just think it would be so interesting to talk about. So yeah, I will be going in with how my throne would look like, the details, the sparkle, you know how I do. And yeah, let's get right on into that. So to first start off with how my throne would look like as a queen, is that the shape of the throne would be a Victorian style shape. So reason why it would be Victorian is because I just believe that Victorian just suits best. I know that we have all seen those houses on, whether like in TV shows, in movies, or even in real life. I've seen a couple in real life and it is just super duper beautiful. The thrones are absolutely gorgeous. Not the thrones, the homes, are absolutely gorgeous, and the shape of them, they are out of this world. I don't know, I think Victorian style anything is just so iconic, especially throughout history. We have so many Victorian style themes of everything, like whether like Victorian style restaurants or games or clothing, events, all of that fun stuff. The Victorian era, medieval era, I don't know if they're both the same, definitely has done its justice to making sure, to basically showcase, that timeline in probably like the beginning or either the middle of the first millennia. And I just think that that style is so chic, it is so modern, and I don't know, it's better than the modern homes and modern, modern homes, for example, or the modern stuff that we have today. I think that it's honestly fair to say that, a lot of people would definitely go for Victorian anything, if given the opportunity, because it's like, it just looks just super duper great, and it just looks very, I don't know, I think it just looks also very mature as well. It just gives like that very mature look. And I know that like with Victorian, I don't know if like people correlate Victorian with just like looking very mature. I don't know, it just looks like that one person or not that person, but like that one girl where it's like, yeah, like, you know, I'm top dog, you know, y'all can't mess with me, da 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 da. And I don't know, I think that's just like what the Victorian style gives me. I just love the classic style. I just love how elegant it looks. And that's another term that I forgot to also state. I don't know, Victorian just looks very, very elegant. I feel like, you know, something, you know, versus the other styles that I didn't choose, I feel like, you know, with medieval, I feel like medieval would be fine, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like medieval, when I think of medieval, I think of the Black Plague. That's the only thing medieval that I think about. Like, I don't know, maybe like gestures and all of that, like, or I don't know if gestures go with either the Victorian era or the medieval era. I think it was Victorian, or maybe it was another era. I do not know, y'all. Please do not quote me on this. I am really not good with that kind of history from the medieval times, clearly. So definitely please correct me in the comments if I am incorrect. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that medieval, to me, that just sounds, I don't know. The word medieval just sounds like, just sounds really, really dark. You know, like when you hear medieval, like the word medieval, just for example, you just think of something that's like very dark, very, very scary, you know, very, you know, evil, you know, stuff. And then when you hear terms like Victorian, I don't know, Victorian just sounds so zhuzh, so bourgeois, in my humble opinion, you know? And, you know, with modern, I mean, I don't know. I feel like modern is really, really boring. You know, especially with just how, you know, with, how everything is just so like minimalistic, how everything is just so black and white. A lot of people like to call it, you know, the millennial design. And I mean, they're not wrong. Honestly, I don't know. I think anything modern is just like very, very boring, and we just have to blame the millennials for that. LMAO, I'm just joking. But honestly though, like, okay, but like for real, we do need to like definitely bring back, you know, just more design. I don't know. I feel like modern, you know, like if it were to be like the shape of a throne, would just be very, very boring. Honestly, I think boring is like the correct word in all honesty for that. It would just be very, very boring. It wouldn't even be like, you know, actually innovative. It would just be very, very tacky, is what a lot of people I think would say for sure. Very, very tacky, very minimalistic. Looks like, you know, you're not even trying at all, da, 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 all of that fun stuff. I think that's what a lot of people would genuinely say, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that Victorian versus those two other options that I talked about, like, you know, medieval and, you know, just modern, it just wouldn't eat at all. It would not. It would look very, very, horrendous, to be very, very generous. Yeah, it just wouldn't look cute at all, but it's okay, you know. Maybe to other people it would look very, very nice. It would look very, very, you know, cutesy. But I don't know, y'all. To me, at least, it just wouldn't hit the same, you know? It wouldn't hit as good versus just having something that's Victorian. And oh my goodness, the design of like Victorian thrones is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, I don't know, you really cannot go wrong. Like, it's just so gorgeous. It's super duper beautiful, and you know, its color, its shape, you know, the time frame that it was in, and just how it was just, you know, done is just so gorgeous. Like, oh my goodness, absolutely bomb. Anything, you know, Victorian about the thrones, you know, that I've seen in some movies and shows. And, you know, something that I didn't even say at all, and I just realized it right now, is that I feel like those thrones that are very Victorian just command a lot of power. Honestly, like, I feel like those thrones do a very amazing job at telling people that, hey, like, you know, I'm the person that, you know, you should command respect to. I'm the person that you should kneel to. I feel like, you know, when you see those thrones, you're like, oh, okay. You know, makes sense. Like, this is the head person in charge, you know, like, we got to give our, you know, respects to this person, obviously, because they're the king or the queen, you know. And I just feel like a Victorian style throne just does the trick with that. You know, it does an amazing job at just, you know, being that girl. And I just feel like power is something that you definitely would want to command with when it comes to, you know, a throne. In my personal opinion, I would think that's what, you know, they would want, is just like to command that kind of you know, respect, you know, because, you know, I would assume if you were like, you know, king or a queen, yeah, you would want everyone to make sure that you know, all eyes were on you, the attention, you know, is on you, X, Y, and Z, da 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 da, you know. But yeah, you guys, so the shape of my throne having to be a Victorian style shape would have to be the first feature that my throne would look like if I were a queen. All right, you guys, so the second feature that would be on my throne, if I were a queen, would have to be that the size of the throne would be a queen. I think that, you know, it's kind of ironic that since I'm a queen, the size of my throne is a queen. I don't know. I thought it was interesting and kind of a little bit funny. But yeah, you guys. So, I'm not sure, like, you know, the actual size that would come with, you know, it being like a queen or a king, or you know, anything like that, because I am not that knowledgeable in like throne. I didn't even know that there were like different you know, throne sizes. So to find that out was definitely a very, 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 very big surprise. And also, you guys, if I look crazy right now, don't mind. I am trying to spread my makeup evenly to the best of my ability. I am doing a new method, so hopefully this method actually works in my favor. But anyways, yeah, I think a queen size throne just, you know, fits fine for a queen 100%. I think that there is no reason why that kind of throne wouldn't fit. I don't know, I feel like, in my humble opinion, king size should stay with the king, and queen sizes should just stay with the queen, just to make things easier, and that way everything isn't as confusing. And I know, you guys, this looks so crazy right now. It definitely does, and y'all have every right to roast me. You know, this will be fixed, so don't you worry. But yeah, like I was saying, you know, king sizes should stay with kings and queen sizes should stay with queens. It just makes it easier. There's no confusion. Nothing is confusing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what other size I would pick. I mean, I wouldn't pick like a kid size, because, you know, that's just ridiculous. Like, why would, you know, a kid size even work in the first place? Because that could be for a child or for a teen or for you know, whatever. But I don't know, I think just like a regular queen size would just be perfect. I don't know, you guys. I think that you know, a queen everything, queen shape, queen whatever, just naturally fits a queen. It just doesn't fit anybody else. It wouldn't make sense to fit anybody else. I don't know, that's just like my belief, my philosophy, and, you know, I'm sticking with it. I don't know if like you know, back then they were really like I wouldn't say like strict, but having everything be like for each of their like you know, like gender roles, if that makes sense. Like, you know how, like, you know, especially like in those days, like, no, like this had to be for men and then this had to be women, like enforcing gender roles pretty much. I would assume that I don't know, y'all, I would assume that it would be the same thing for these roles, in my personal opinion. I don't know why. I just feel like, oh, you know, maybe you know, the same would apply. They wouldn't be as, I wouldn't say wouldn't be as strict, because I don't think that really you know, makes sense. But I guess the better term is that they wouldn't be I guess like as on top of it. I think that especially in those days, and I would assume, you know, you know, for sure in those days they definitely had stricter rules of what how kings you know, the duties that kings had and the duties that queens had, and none of those paths would just ever be crossed. It would, you know, literally just be like, oh, like, you know, you stick to this, you know, queens stick to this, kings stick to this. Maybe that, you know, maybe queens didn't have the opportunity to even have, you know, king-sized anything, probably because of gender roles, especially probably in the earliest like mid of our first millennia. I know that was definitely probably really, really exacerbated during that period. So it's like, yeah, you just had to do what you had to do, and basically made sure that you you know, stayed in your place. So I would assume you know, for kings and queens, the same thing would apply. I don't know. I think these roles that kings and queens had to fit into are very, very, you know, interesting to say the least, because we all know that they did not have, you know, a say in whatever, you know, they wanted to do. That opportunity was quite literally you know, taken from them. Sorry, y'all, I'm just making sure that I didn't put too much. But yeah, y'all, so the size of my throne, being a queen, would have to be the second feature on my throne if I were a queen. All right, you guys, so the last feature on my throne that I would put if I were a queen would have to be that the colors of the throne would have to be, or would be, light pastel colors. And what I mean by light pastel colors, I just mean that colors that just make the throne pop. Like, for example, like, you know, like a light baby blue, or you know, a light baby pink, a light baby yellow, like very, very light pastel colors. 100,000% would just in my humble opinion make the look stand out, make the throne, excuse me, stand out in such a beautiful way. I just think that the light pastels would just be a very beautiful finishing touch. I think those pastels would just be super duper beautiful to have on the throne, and I feel like it would just make such a good beautiful difference. It would just add so much to the throne. It would just be the cherry on top. So, like, you know, I think the outline of the Victorian throne would just be like a nice pastel yellow color, and then the seating would be like a nice bright pink color, and maybe the accents would be like a nice you know, blue color. I just think that just those colors would just make everything, it would just make everything pop so beautifully. I think just having bright colors on the throne versus like neutral colors, as I said before, would just make the throne pop so much more. it would make it so much more grand, much more beautiful, and it would just be such an amazing touch, in my humble opinion. I just think that colors just make everything much better. Specifically bright colors just make everything so much better. And by just having, you know, a little bit of that bright color just makes, I feel like, everything better. And yeah, y'all, so yeah, the colors of the throne being light pastel colors would be the third and last thing on my throne if I were a queen. All right, you guys, so we just finished my makeup look. What do we think? What do we think? What do we think? I am really, really liking the look. It is very, very different, to say the least. I really love this red lip. I've never done a red lip before, and I just really, really like it. I think it looks so elegant. It looks so beautiful, and I just love the look so much. Please be sure to subscribe if you want to see any more makeup get ready with me's like this. And it was so great talking with y'all again. I love talking with you guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you all enjoyed. I hope that y'all will have an amazing Monday, an amazing week, and I will see all of y'all's beautiful faces next time. Bye, guys.